Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. So, we're gonna start off where we left off yesterday. Okay, Jordan. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what Jordan was on, but she was hella foul today, right? Because Porsha was like, "Yo," and don't get me wrong. There's certain things that Porsha said was like, it's not start stretching the truth and stuff. Like there was points where she was like, "Oh, you were following over him." I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa." I get it. You're angry with Jordan, and yeah, it's very sus of what she was doing. It was out of line for what she was doing, right? But let's not start sitting there making up things that aren't true. Now she pretty much is like, every time I turn around, you're by my husband and everything like that. She just really calls her out for just, you know, being too close to him. While Jordan is not there saying, well, we're family because of TJ and, we're friends and everything like that. And I'm like, Jordan, Porsha came to town and she reconnected with Curtis. Did you have that same energy? Was you just like, oh, they were just friends, so it's totally okay, even though you knew that their history? So why are we sitting there acting like it's okay that you're doing it? There's one point where she mentions, um, well, when Portia was like, listen, you're just kind of hanging out, and just chipping away, whatever. Like, that we're having problems, and you just kind of hanging out and everything like that. And practically, it's like you're not helping the situation. And Jordan was like, oh, so pretty much like what you're doing, like pretty much what you were doing. And Portia was like, so what is this revenge? I mean, hell, if you're gonna sit there and say this isn't revenge, you shouldn't even have actually bring that up. You shouldn't have brought that up. So that says everything. You know what I'm saying? Like that just tells. Like that's just very telling. Let's just put it that way. But they go back and forth. Jordan's like, "Oh, you need to step up as a woman. You're insecure and da 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 da." And I'm just like, you know, on some level, giving her situation, and yeah, okay, she kind of put herself in that situation, right, with the lies and everything. But given the situation that she's in, don't you think it's understandable that she's a bit insecure? She's literally sitting there having some gorgeous woman with a teeny weeny sexy bikini just kind of hanging out with her man while her man is practically kind of treating her like dirt. In all reality, I'm kind of just like, why are you, like, first of all, it's like, why are you sitting there taking that? Second of all, from Jordan's point of view, why do you want to go back to that? Because it wasn't that long where he was sitting there treating you like dirt too. You were treating her like dirt too. And you sitting there talking to Anna, talking about, well, I don't know. It should be very clear. You know what I'm saying? It should be very clear where you should be standing with Jordan. I mean, with Curtis. If you have some goddamn pride. Hell, that's actually what Porsche said. I was like, entirely wrong. Anyway, they go back and forth, and Porsche picks up a drink, throws it on Jordan. Isaiah comes in, breaks it up, kind of sits it down or whatever for a little bit. At this point, Portia's like, okay, I'm gonna sit there and talk. I'm gonna sit there and talk to Curtis because she came up to her. She's like, oh well, you're the problem. I was like, no, no, no. If you're gonna sit there and say that she's the problem, she's not the only problem. Hell, in a sense, all three of you are the problem. If we're gonna be honest, I'm like, you need to sit there and talk to your man. I guess that's why sometimes whenever I see an argument or I see people cheating and stuff like that, and they go after, they start fighting the person that they're, you know what I'm saying, that their husband or wife is that they're cheating with. No, in reality, that ass whooping should be reserved for the person that's actually cheating on you. That yelling, screaming, and everything like that, drink on, that should be with that person, not with the third person. Okay? Because it wasn't that person that broke your heart or anything like that. It's the person that you're with. But anyway, she goes and leaves. And Isaiah's, well, Jordan thanks Isaiah for stepping in. And then she's like, and then Jordan's like, well, can you believe how she snipped at acting? And me and Isaiah both looking at her like, are you serious? And he calls her out for that. He was like, yo, listen, you're not going to sit there and try to act like y'all just hanging out like that was totally innocent. Like, at the very least, it's very inappropriate and very sus. And then he's like, you know what? Because at one point she's like, "Oh well, listen, I'm sorry that things didn't work out. Like that's the reason why he's there coming at her. I mean, like that's the reason he's coming at her." And she's like, and he's like, you know what? Now I'm starting to see it. Like Sitwell was not the only problem while I was dating. She's like, well, what is that supposed to mean? I'm like, Jordan, do not sit there and play dumb. Don't do that. Do not sit there and insult that man's intelligence. Don't insult the audience intelligence. Just because you're too goddamn cowardly to admit that you still have feelings for an asshole. Essentially, you have feelings for an asshole. And you've had those feelings for a long goddamn time. And in a sense, it kind of wasted his time, but I'm not even going to sit there and get on that. But the point is, he calls her out for that, and then he walks off, and she just has this dumbfounded look on her face like, girl, I didn't see you drinking or anything like that, so I don't understand what's the confused look on your face. Now, press conference gets started, and like yesterday, Tracy's like, nope, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't sit there and start lying and stuff like that. And she starts reading this man for filth. Okay, just calling out all the stuff he did from the sex worker to blowing up his nephew's marriage and everything like that. And while that's going on, Cody comes in. Long story short, Cody's like, I'm the one that put the ketamine in Tracy's car. And he said he did it for to help the horse or whatever. And so, Martin is like sitting there trying to question it and stuff like that and trying to downplay what he's doing. But he makes it very clear. He's like, no, I did it. I got a note or whatever. He's like, I did it. And so at this point, Drew has no choice but to apologize to Tracy for blaming her for something that she didn't do. And later on, Tracy was like, "No, Michael's the one that came up with that whole plan." Tells Brooklyn that. And at this point, Drew is just distraught because now he's like, "God damn it!" Like now in the public eye, I just look like a druggie, and I'm gonna have to sit there and postpone or do something to separate myself from Willow because I don't want her. I don't want me to sit. I don't want it to be me the reason that her kids are taken away. Like, you really stop to think about it. Why are you saying that now? I mean, you were with her for a hot minute. And you don't think that any of the stuff that you did had any sort of actions and consequences towards you also being, not just her. I mean, not just him, but being a part of why Willow lost her kids. Now you want to sit there and try to be altruistic, like, oh, well, I can't sit there and be the reason. Bro, that's too late. That ship is already set. So I don't know what we going on about. But Kai does something that I didn't see coming. See, Porsha's about to sit there and confront Curtis about, the pool time and the bikini, teeny, tiny bikini, whatever. And at this point, Curtis is not there talking to Trina. And Trina wants to sit there and try to help. I don't know how she's planning on helping, but she does admit that, hey, Kai told me that mom was in trouble, and you're gonna sit there and try to. Well, I don't know if she actually revealed that. I think he did. I think she did. But the point is, after that conversation with Trina, Curse is like, Trina knows. Trina knows and Kai knows. But he's like, don't worry, I trust Kai, he's not going to say anything. And, most importantly, he doesn't want to sit there and hurt Trina. But with Drew feeling so guilty and feeling like everything is falling apart, Kai's like, yo, listen, I got to sit there and tell you something. Curtis is not there trying to find Jacinda to sit there and pay her to have the, say that you took the drugs willingly and that you paid for the sex and everything like that. I was like, ooh, bro. Listen, I sat there and was like, nah, there's no way he's going to say anything. I just can't picture him doing that. Yes, he's going to have a moral dilemma, but I mean, I did sit there and I was like, it would be cool if he did that because then he would have to sit there and really kind of struggle and navigate his relationship with Trina because, like, you pretty much just kind of screw Trina over through her parents. Like, if they're going to do that. But I was like, I don't think that they're not going to go that route. And so it was like, oh, shit, I guess they went that route. The fans. Listen, let me put it this way: if the fans didn't like him with her before, oh my. So, yeah, that happened. Nina is Nina is not there trying to get Carly to try to get Michael to ease up and try to let Willow see the kids. And this way, Willow doesn't have to marry Drew. I was like, why do you think that saving Willow should be Carly's problem? Because it's not, right? But what Nina tries to make it seem is like, well, listen, it'll be better for the kids and everything like that, because the kids do miss their mother, and that's just a fact. Hell, Michael doesn't want to sit there and separate Willow from the kids, but he's not going to sit there and allow a very toxic, despicable in a sense, man like Drew anywhere near his kids' lives, and I cannot blame him for that. But Carly's like, no, 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 no. Y'all, we tried. Nothing's gonna work, and pretty much like, I'm not getting involved with that. It's like you're really not gonna sit there and have no. Why the hell? She's literally like, yo, listen, after all the pain that she caused the family and she caused my son, you think I'm gonna sit there and try to reach out to try to sit? You must be out your goddamn mind. And she pretty much just kind of ends it right then and there. So Nina gets Sonny. Nina gets Jason to try to convince Michael to do his best and let Willow see the kids and try to get Drew um Drew out of her life. But after the way that the conversation ended with Drew, with Carly, not with Carly, with Michael and Willow, Willow sees that, Willow's like, oh, you're just here to sit there and try to intimidate me or whatever. And long story short, pretty much she pretty much like, you know what, listen, y'all can kick rocks, I'm gonna do what I want. And Jason's like, all right, fine. And granted, that conversation went so downhill so fast. One of the things during that conversation between Willow and Michael is that Willow Smith is saying, well, I tried to see you in Germany, but you didn't want to see me. Like, as a reason, like, well, I tried to make it work. First of all, let's just sit there and say this is true. You just cheated on this man twice. Okay? You literally broke his heart after he gave you the world. He is in an intense burn clinic. You are the last person that he wants to sit there and see. So let's just sit there and say if that was the case. Can you blame him between the intense pain that he's in and the fact that he's dealing with his lying, cheating of a wife? Yeah, I wouldn't want to see you either. But, it goes so downhill. She's not there protecting Drew. She's not there saying, oh, you're trying to punish me because, you're trying to punish me by using the kids because I fell in love with another man. I was like, first of all, let's just get something very straight. You really are, or you are really overestimating your worth. Okay? You must think really highly of yourself to have this man use his kids, which clearly, if you think that he is capable of using his kids as a weapon against you, you never really knew that man at all. Okay, that's just found on so many levels. You think he's doing all this to try to get back at you? Like, wow. So, like, right then and there, it's like everything just goes off the rails, right? And you know what's sad is that when Michael said what Drew said to Willow, all she said was, "Well, kids misinterpret things all the time, right?" So while people were sitting there saying, "Well, maybe she sit there and try to listen to what Wiley has to say," she won't even bother with that. She's just assuming like, "Nope, he's a kid. You know, he just misinterprets things because kids. You know." I'm trying not to be too mean, but like my point is that like she didn't even bother, and it just I'm gonna say something, and fuck it, I need to say it. See, while people want to sit there and blame Drew for this comes down to Willow, right? And it just makes me think, Michael says, if Drew's not in the picture, then Willow will be fine. Willow will be fine if she's single. She can sit there and start to think for herself. But let's be very clear. If she is that controllable, that means any bad man, any asshole could sit there and come in her life and essentially be the same problem for Michael. So it just makes you wonder just how fit of a parent she is. If she, you know what I'm saying, like, because let's be honest, there's always more than one Drew in this world. If we're going to be honest, so this made me think about that on a larger scale. Because um, there's some stuff with like, long story short, Marco, Sitwell's having a conversation about Sonny and his peers. Sitwell makes a joke talking about, well, hopefully that, he'll take my offer if he doesn't have to do something very sketchy. Marco's like, come on, I don't want to be a part of that. I'm a lawyer. I can't do that. He's like, I'm just playing. Or am I? Right? And Lucy gets there, and long story short, Lucy sits there and tries to talk to Sonny about giving up his peers. Now, what I didn't understand about this is almost like the writers kind of forgot what they wrote. The first time that Sitwell approached Sonny about those peers, Sonny was like, all right, listen, I think we just got to take it. We don't really have any other options. You're not going to step up. And, while Jason's like, I don't think this is a good idea. What if he's a bad person? What if? We can't do this anymore. And then he was sitting there telling Laura that, listen, I'm thinking about selling a Pierce to him. And Laura was like, well, listen, if poor Charles is left under Sitwell's devices, who knows what's going to happen? You know what Sonny said? Sonny was like, is it my job to sit there and put the criminals away, or is it your job? But now he's not there talking to Jason, and he's like, listen, I can't let poor Charles just, be under Sitwell's regime. So what is it? Is it let the town fend for itself, like you told Laura, or is it, I'm a bad guy, I'm a mobster, but a mobster with a heart of gold, so I'm going to protect this city. Which one is it? Because he was ready to just, oh, he also tells Lucina. Um, I think he was talking about some other stuff, Jason and Sonny. Um, they might have talked about Sonny. They might have talked about Mike and Willow. I don't remember. I know it was mostly about the peers. I know it was mostly about the peers. Which again, that that whole conversation just boggles my mind. Um, but Curtis is closest to finding this witness to get try to pay her to lie. But if Drew finds that witness first, or finds a way to sit there and put a kibosh on it in general, it is a wrap. I have a feeling it's going to come down to who done it with Drew. But I don't know. I feel like that's pretty much about it. I can't think of anything else. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a live tonight. I still have a couple more soap operas to do before that, so we'll see. Um, I will post it in the community tab just to let y'all know if I'm gonna do it or not. But we'll see. Anyway, if I miss anything, let me know in the comment section. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video.